Donnie Yen is one of my favorite martial arts actors. I love his style. I love his charisma, his swagger. I've always liked Donnie Yen and own quite a few of his movies actually. But yeah, when I heard that he produced and co-directed his own movie, that's sort of kind of his answer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I was interested. I was intrigued. So let's talk about Sakra. When a respected martial artist is accused of killing, he goes around in search of answers about his own mysterious origin story and the unknown enemies working to destroy him. The movie stars Donnie Yen, Yuqi Chen, and Eddie Cheung. Now, some people may not be familiar with the term Wuxia, but it's basically a style of martial arts film where things like gravity aren't a problem. These characters can do superhuman feats. They can fly through the air. Whenever you think of wire work, that's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. It's kind of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is probably the best example of wuxia that really kind of made it to the mainstream, at least over here in the U.S. So yeah, this movie is definitely in that style. And I have to say, it's shot very, very well. I mean, I really enjoyed watching this movie. There's some obvious green screen work, some background replacement and things like that. For the most part, it's done really, really well. We'll get to some of the issues later, but for the most part, like I said, I thought it was beautifully shot and well put together. The acting is pretty well done overall, except when it's not. There are scenes that, well, we'll get there. But I'll tell you this, I don't think it has to do with the actors themselves. I think it has to do more with the writing and maybe some of the shots that were chosen in editing. It seemed there's some issues there. I think the biggest single problem with the movie is the plot. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of like a lot of plot. There are characters that are introduced like halfway through with no like formal introduction. No, it's almost like we're supposed to know who they are, but we clearly have not seen them yet in the movie. So it was very, very confusing. And some of these characters have motivations that are very, very unclear, which makes things very jarring for the audience. Like many of the Indian movies that I've watched for the last year or so, this definitely has some ties to a culture that I'm not exactly familiar with. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge in Chinese history and things like that. The problem is a good story can draw you in and make you feel part of it and make you feel invested in it, even if you don't have any personal connection to it. So that's the problem here. I didn't feel any connection to anything going on. The music is also a bit over the top. Like there are big sweeping sort of epic sounding tracks being played when someone's walking through a town. And it wasn't like, oh, we're leading to a big showdown. No, he's literally just walking through the town. I feel like the music choices were a little bit weird. It's strange though, because there were some choices in the music that were really, really nice and quite beautiful. But then there were some that were like, this doesn't fit here. And yeah, the sound mix is also quite aggressive. I hate to keep comparing it to some of these Indian movies I've watched, but there were some scenes that reminded me of sort of an Indian style sound mix where the surrounds are used like aggressively. And then there are times when there's a conversation going on, and instead of shooting kind of at an angle, like with the two shot, they're shooting like directly on, like the camera is the person talking, but then the sound is coming through only the left surround speaker. And it's very weird, and it kind of makes you it kind of makes you feel like what's going on here? Again, more plot than characterization. That is probably the biggest issue in the movie. And there are sometimes from scene to scene, it's almost, I gotta say it's almost nonsensical. I couldn't follow what was going on, and it kept pulling me out of the scene, and that's a problem when you're trying to tell a story. And some of the CG is definitely, like I said, definitely questionable. I would even say hokey in some cases. Like sometimes it would remind me of like Marvel films, where there's every now and then there's a scene that'll stick out and you're like, wait, what? That's kind of how it was. But the thing is, the action in this movie is ridiculous. Like ridiculously cool. Like it's almost worth watching just for the fighting scenes because Donnie Yen's amazing, you know? And his I guess his action team, his team of actors that do this stuff, man, there's some amazing stuff in this movie and it's almost worth watching just for that. Overall though, I'm sorry, I can't really recommend this movie because I almost feel like it's like the first draft. It's almost like a first we're gonna just put out this rough cut of the movie and it's just it to me it doesn't work. Now I would be curious if there are people that are really familiar with the source material because it's supposedly based on a classic book. I would be interested to know if it works better if you know the source material because I'm sitting there and I'm lost. I'm completely lost. There's a romance that blossoms out of nothing. Like I didn't feel anything, and then all of a sudden, oh, he's calling her his wife. What is going on here? It's very strange. But I'm curious what you think of it. If you've seen it, let me know down below, and we'll talk about it because that's what's so fun about doing these videos is having that little conversation. It's kind of nice. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.